I'm not going to wear headphones. I decided I think it's going to be okay. Welcome to the Love Overwhelming podcast, where we believe, not only do we believe, but we've seen here in our community and throughout our region, our state, and our nation that when people are supported, that hope is developed in their life, and it guides them. That hope that's developed helps guide people in their recovery, their life's journey, and we've seen that over and over again. And we just love to hear those stories, and that's part of what we're doing. That's part of what the Love Overwhelming podcast is about, is to be able to share the good work, share the good success stories that are happening here in our home county in Cowlitz County, but not only in Cowlitz County, but also across the region. We are very connected as far as the I-5 corridor goes, and there are a lot of times, especially now in the recent year and a half, that we're getting a lot of people that are we haven't seen before, and a lot of people that are vehicle residency. They're living in their car, and they're not from around here. As where 3 years ago, I couldn't say that. It was mainly people that were from here. So looking at that, we decided to not only continue to look here in Cowlitz County, but let's look regionally, and let's see what the good work's going on. Let's see what's going on. Let's hear it. So it's cold outside. It's super cold. This is probably day 8, I believe, of severe weather as far as cold weather. It's even right now it is in the high 20s, and it has been that way a couple nights in the lower 30s before that. It's like I was saying, regionally and here in Cowlitz County, because of the cold, there are agencies, organizations, there are churches, there are grassroots efforts that have opened up warming shelters all throughout our communities, all along here, along the region here in Washington. So what I'd like to do is first is just share with you a little bit about my experience with shelter. One time we were moving shelters. A severe weather shelter was going into this church, and we had to do a couple forums because there was so much pushback. We had a lot of individuals and businesses, and it was next to a school, and it was next to not a daycare, but it was like I don't even know what you call it. It was a school, a preschool, getting kids ready for attending kindergarten, and so not just daycare. Anyway, we forums and this whole thing, and media, and a lot of divisiveness, unfortunately, and a lot of things said they were not nice. Anyway, the night came to open the shelter, and in the midst of this, I had been doing the training for the shelter for a couple months, and I remember I was walking to the back. I was helping one of the volunteers. We were getting all checked out, and I was just going through everything, doing a orientation, if you will. And all of a sudden, one of the workers, the other volunteers that had been there, they came and grabbed me and got me, and they said they were having a hard time de-escalating the situation. Someone was in line waiting to get in, and it was cold outside, and people were frustrated. And this was, we couldn't open until a certain time at that that night, especially that night, because it was the first night that we were opening, and we needed to make sure that everything was in place and everything was right. We had told the community, we had told the leaders, the neighbors, and even the people that we serve, that we're going to access and be guests at the warming shelter, that we had these certain criteria and certain things we were doing to make sure everyone's voice was heard, everyone's input was taken into consideration, and so I go out to see what's going on, because there's something going on in line, and it's a pretty long line again, and it's cold. People are freezing, they're shivering, they all have their stuff with them, and some of them have blankets and hats and beanies, and so I get to the person, and I can see them, they're agitated, and they're not yelling, but they're agitated, and there's a little bit of chaos going on, and staff introduces me, and I start talking to him immediately and just try to build rapport. That's one of the de-escalation tactics that I try to use, is just trying to build that rapport as fast as I can, try to find something in common, but just try to listen to them as well, so that they understand that I'm there for them to help. And I know that sometimes when I do that, it decreases their stress, their crisis, and excuse me, and they're able to think straight, and then it kind of takes them out of that situation. And so as I'm talking to this individual and I'm trying to build rapport, I look up, and 2 or 3 people behind me, there's this person who's going like this. It's a little tall, and they're looking around, and they're listening and watching me. And it happened to be one of our Longview City Council members, who was coming in to maybe do their due diligence to make sure that everything was done the way that we said we were doing. In fact, after I talked to Council Member Wallen at that time, I remember him saying that, he was just making sure that he wanted to make sure that we were holding to our words, and he was just doing his due diligence as a council member. But it was funny to me, because I'm trying to de-escalate this whole situation so it's not chaotic, and just do my normal thing, and I look up, and there's Council Member Wallen, and so it was it was interesting, and this warming shelter being open reminded me of that story of opening night after all the controversy and everything. And the very first thing that I have to do is go out into this line and de-escalate someone, and with a council member watching over my shoulder, literally watching over my shoulder. All right, so let's get into some of the data. Let's look at some of the stuff, the warming shelters. Let's check into the warming shelters here, because we have the Council for the Homeless. We're going to take a look at 3 different counties across our region here. And so the first one we're going to look at is Clark County. We're going to look at its Council for the Homeless. I'm pretty familiar with them. I've worked with them before, and I've known people that work there. I think I even know some people that currently work there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up their Facebook here, and while I'm doing that, the need is so big for donations, for volunteers, and make sure you guys are checking these links out. I'll leave them in the show notes. And make sure you check them out if you're in their area. We are going to do one in Cowlitz County for those of you that are in Cowlitz. But first, we're going to look here at Clark. And as you may not know this, you may or may not, but Woodland is actually, half of it is Cowlitz County, and half of it is Clark County. So there's been some times in the past where we've done homeless services, and we've worked with some of the service providers that were in Clark County, because it was kind of on the border. So we have here the Council for the Homeless. They have a housing hotline, and again, I'll put this in there. I think that I'll be able to put this right into right into the video. And for the audio, though, there is a phone number on Facebook. They are just Council for the Homeless. Again, this is in Vancouver, Clark County. And man, they have a bunch of different. They have a daytime warming center for walk-ins, St. Paul, Vancouver, 1309 Franklin Avenue. They have another overnight warming center, Living Hope Church, and there's a phone number, a homeless housing hotline, if someone needs shelter as well. So check that out. All right, so we got Council for the Homeless, like I said. Oh man, and they have a whole bunch of other stuff here. They got C-Tran, will not turn anyone away. You can get warm there if you are cold. That's nice. I did have they have links to all this as well, and even maps on there. So check it out. It's open. It's been open. It's a severe weather alert. Again, Council for the Homeless in Vancouver. And I know they do a lot of good work there. So check them out on Facebook and their website. So the next one we're going to talk about here is, I got to look. Oh, Interfaith Works Homeless Services. So I have, and this is in Thurston County. So Thurston is Olympia area, just so you know. So now we are, where we are, home base is Cowlitz. We're here, and Vancouver is here. I mean, like I said, we border. Woodland is half Cowlitz and half Vancouver, or half Clark County and half Cowlitz County. And then we're all the way 2 counties down in Thurston County. Actually, technically, I think only 1 county over. So I have a really good relationship, or I have a lot of respect and love, solidarity for Interfaith Works. When I was starting Love Overwhelming, Interfaith Works, they were trying to start a low barrier shelter in the basement of this church. And they saw in the paper a bunch of articles about me and about Love Overwhelming, and the pushback that we were getting, and like the chaos that was at that time when we were coming in, which I look forward to talking about and sharing some of this stuff, because there was so much, and there was so much misinformation. So it's I look forward to being able to share my story, at least. Anyway, they were going through the same thing, and so they reached out to me and said that they were having a public forum and in Olympia. And so I remember I immediately was made plans to go, and it was only a few hours before the meeting was to start that I knew about it. And so I made arrangements and went, and it was great. So I got to meet the director there, Meg Martin. She's still the director. I hope to actually have her on here, have a conversation with her. She is a wonderful wealth of knowledge and resources there. And anyway, so they are operating Code Blue. And what that is they have several shelters, including some youth shelters is what it looked like. But I need to pull up their Facebook. Womp womp. Yeah, Code Blue Extra Shelter continues until through Monday 1/27. So January 27th, it'll go till then. So they're open from 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. and they have donation needs, just like Council for the Homeless have donation needs as well, and just like the shelter here in Cowlitz County. So they're looking for hot cocoa or cider, cup of noodles, protein bars, electrolyte drinks, sweaters, coats, sweats, leggings, gloves, hats, scarves, hand warmers, warm type of adult clothing is what they take there. And they have a website. It's iwshelter.org, and the drop off is at Sergio's place, which is at the back entrance, 3501 Mary Elder Road. And when we are in long stretches with the cold, it's such a resource for people who are unhoused to have access to. I know people that have died in the cold. I saw someone who they came in with one of their hands, or it was like two of their fingers that were completely black because they had fallen asleep in this 0-degree temp sleeping bags thinking they were going to be okay. What happened is he stuck his hand out a little bit and his fingers. Anyway, we got him to the hospital and staff worked with him and got him there and helped him out. But it's such a need. And let's see here. This is data as of the January 20. Whoa, this is low then. So this is January 21st. 182 non-duplicated individuals that they've served in their shelter, their warming shelter there. Interfaith works in Olympia, Thurston County. So again, we'll have links in the show notes there for you. And again, they're in need of volunteers. They're in need of donations. So check them out. Check them out on their Facebook or their website, iwshelter.org. Interfaith Works Homeless Services Program on Facebook. So let's look at one more. And last but not least, we're going to check out the Cowlitz County Longview. There are actually two warming shelters here in Cowlitz County going on. There might even be three. I'm not sure if Woodland has anything. I haven't heard if they do. But the Salvation Army has a warming shelter open in partnership with the city of Longview. And Salvation Army doesn't have anything on their Facebook about it. But the city of Longview does. After you get through everyone congratulating Jen Wills on becoming the new city CEO or city manager here in Longview, Washington, which I'm grateful for. She's very energetic and she's done really good things with the Parks and Rec. So I'm super excited to have her lead the city of Kelso. I think it's probably one of the better choices of anything. I mean, I think it was the best choice. I was hoping it was going to be her. All right. It's getting late and it's cold. So the city of Longview says that their severe weather shelter, they're having 48 people on average is what it looks like that have been at shelter. They're going to remain open. And if you want to help in any way, if you need donations, any of that stuff, you can give donations. If you have warm weather type of clothing, coats, the hot hands, the warm feet, that activate when you shake them, they get warm, like when you're out in the snow or whatever, out in the cold. Those are always helpful. One thing I want to say is they're over at the McClellan Art Center is where the shelter is in Longview. Salvation Army is overseeing that. And if you are interested in volunteering, my voice is going to go. In volunteering, you can call Holly Hillman at 360-747-3375, and they'll keep open as long as the severe weather shelter is in effect with the city of Longview. Has to be projected, I think, at 32 or below for at least 2 consecutive days for there to be a severe weather event called by the city of Longview, which allows Salvation Army to open. I am glad the Salvation Army has a severe weather shelter. Many may not know, but I remember right before I started doing emergency shelter or warming shelter in day center. I don't think he was a major. I think he was a captain. It was Captain Dave Davis. I think he may have gone and became a major or something like that. But he did the shelter upstairs at the Salvation Army building where they do lunch now, and I remember that, and it was just him most nights, and so to come full circle, and now the Salvation Army under Major Phil is that's great to see. They're doing a good job over there, I've heard. So one thing that I will say is how important severe weather shelter is. I mean, I can't express enough how important it is. We one year, and I'm gonna put a video up of it. I'm gonna let her tell it in her own words, but we had someone who accessed our severe weather shelter in 2015, maybe 2016, and from that, we didn't know their real name. They didn't sign in by their real name, and long story short, and again, I don't want to tell her story. I'm gonna let her tell it. From that interaction there, we started building trust with her, and I think it did something, and you'll hear where she was, and she actually, the night before she was in shelter, she broke into a house and built a fire in a bathtub with her partner to stay warm, and so yeah, here I'm gonna play that clip right now. We'll see. I'm back.
My official title is Intensive Community Services Peer Support Case Manager. I have struggled with addiction since I was about 12 years old. I've experienced homelessness here several times. And one of our friends told us about this warming shelter. We showed up, they had food and they had blankets and they were really, really kind. That shelter was love overwhelming. I help people obtain and retain housing. Bernice and I started meeting. She would come to my office and we would work together as a team to find her home.
My experience with Deborah, plain and simple, because of her life experience. She understood my experiences.
The idea of peer counseling and why it struck me as something that I wanted to do is, like, my own experiences had to be worth something. And to have the opportunity then to utilize my experiences to help someone else, like, that is peer.
So with that, what an amazing story. How wonderful that a group of people that were mainly volunteers and a church that allowed us to open, we just extended hope through just loving Deborah right where she was. And not only is she there in that, but in what you saw in that video in a peer support, but Deborah has gone on and is now in her master's program at University of Washington. And in October of this last year, just a few months ago, she was asked to be the keynote speaker, one of 2 keynote speakers at a state conference in regards to peer support and programs that they have. Here's a little clip from that.
I've had the privilege of knowing and working with Deborah for many years. And Deborah has changed lives everywhere. Like I said, everywhere she has worked in the many years that she's worked in and lived, through housing insecurity as a young adult, worked through substance abuse disorder, domestic violence, trafficking. She's worked in supported housing, therapeutic court. Just what she has done in our drug court in our local area, creating a mentor program is extraordinary. Oh my gosh, thanks. Hello everyone, I hope that you're doing well today. I just want to take a moment and say thank you, genuinely from the bottom of my heart, as somebody who has spent more nights unhoused in their 20s than they spent housed. Thank you. That's all just so flattering. I'm like super embarrassed. I want to say things to like discredit it, but I'm working on that, so work with me on that. I'm so honored to be here today and to share my story with you. And I want to first I wanted to state that this is just my story. There are millions and millions of stories that deserve to be heard, and I'm honored, as I said, to share mine. And when we talk about my story in a moment, I'm going to go over some of my advantages that I have, because I want to acknowledge those with you today. This is my favorite quote. Every single moment of my life has been leading up to this. And if you think about it, every moment is like that. And the reason that I like that is because what it does is it reminds me that every step that I took has gotten me here. And no matter where I go, it's every step I've taken.
I cannot stress enough how important severe weather shelter and shelter is.